So we just got done with some mountain biking at Red Rock Canyon Open Space in Colorado Springs, and I'm beat after 45 minutes of climbing around that park, but it's nothing compared to what this guy did last weekend in Breckenridge.
So I did what is known as lift-assisted mountain biking last weekend. Decided to head to Breckenridge with a friend of mine, and we did some of the quote-unquote downhill mountain biking. It's very tame, definitely doable on a hardtail or any sort of cross-country mountain bike. So you don't have to worry about renting a big fancy downhill bike. They do have bikes for rent there at the resort, and they're relatively inexpensive. I think 45 bucks, and you can get a pretty nice full suspension. I think they carry Scott brand for their rental fleet. But I had a few tips that I thought I would share. So tip number one, parking. Seemingly in the entire town of Breckenridge, you have to pay to park. However, near Peak 8, which is where the downhill mountain biking is, there is a trail head that is just to the north of Peak 8. I think it's off of Peak 7, actually. So it's about a quarter-mile ride back to Peak 8, but this trailhead, it's called Peaks Trailhead. There's space for about 10, maybe 15 cars. So you have to get there relatively early. If you're going on a weekend, you might be hard-pressed to find a spot, but it is free, and it's one of the few places in town that is free to park. So my second tip is don't worry about getting a fancy downhill mountain bike. All the downhill trails in Breckenridge are totally doable on a regular cross-country bike, whether it be hardtail or full suspension. I was on a giant Anthem with, I don't know, 120 millimeters of travel on the front. And the nice thing about Breckenridge for a cross-country rider is there is a little bit of uphill on some of the downhill segments. So what I mean by that is they do a lot of crisscrossing across the side of the mountain. So you'll get some sections where you might, have to pedal up to go back down. And there's some tight, twisty, kind of single track. Definitely all doable on a cross-country bike, so you don't have to worry about getting some big fancy downhill bike. So my third tip, make sure you time your trip appropriately. The park doesn't open until I think early June. Typically full service bike haul is starting in July, and it closes Labor Day weekend. You can also, while you're there, if you're worried about tackling the trails without seeing them, would highly recommend taking mountain bike lesson. It's 88 bucks for the day, includes your bike haul, which I think the bike haul by itself is 36 bucks. Still really, really cheap compared to Winter Park or Keystone, a lot of the big, true downhill bike parks. And then, I think you can get a rental if you don't have a bike with you. You can get a rental for around 40, 45 bucks. My top 3 favorite trails from Breckenridge. My first is the Game Trail. You'll see it's considered an expert level trail, but really, if you do a fair bit of mountain biking, I would categorize it maybe an intermediate trail. There's no big drop-offs, nothing technical that you have to climb. Kind of where everybody else is hanging out, a lot of the hikers and stuff like that. My second favorite trail is a trail called Dwight. It has a lot of single track through some really dense pine. So really nice, flowy, hard pack, beautiful scenery. And then my third favorite trail is a trail called Swinger. And this trail is almost straight down the mountain with quite a few little twisty turns. But it's super fast and definitely doable, with a beginner rider. The first 2 trails, Game Trail and Dwight, you probably want to have some level of comfort on your bike before you try to tackle those. But Swinger is a lot of fun for experts all the way to the beginner level rider. So after a hard day of riding, best place in Breckenridge to eat is definitely Piante's Pizza. I think I'm pronouncing that right. We'll spell it here in the video. But excellent vegan pizza. They've got vegan sausage. You name it. It's like a vegan pizza lover's paradise. So definitely hit that up. And for lunch and things like that, whenever you're out on the trail, I just pack stuff in my backpack and just eat it while I'm on the lift.